How big can I get my heart to be?
Thought Media Network proudly presents
How much love can I get flowing out of me?
The Real Talk Sisters. Deep, unfiltered, soulful conversations with Reverend Dr. Pjae Stanley, Reverend Kim Andrews, and Reverend Melinda Wood Allen.
How big can I get my heart to be?
Join us for Real Talk on Real Issues. Tuesdays, 2 p.m. Central, 1 o'clock Mountain. And now, let's join the Real Talk Sisters.
How big can I get my heart to be?
Hey.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Hello there.
Hey. All right. So, how was the
Today
last
we're
week?
doing a little different. We are not in the same physical space, and we're joining you all from our separate spaces. So, hello. Good to see you.
Yeah. So, how's the week been going for everybody?
Shall I check in first? Hi, I'm Reverend Melinda Wood Allen, and I'm so very happy to be here. I'm the senior minister at the Church of One Love in Dallas, Texas, teaching only love. And this week, I have been highly unmotivated and very exhausted and questioning why that was and guilt tripping myself a little bit about it. And coming to realize that I think what's happening is that I'm just grieving. I have a lot going on. I've had a lot of loss lately and a lot of big changes. And I think I'm just grieving, and I'm trying to give myself space to do that. A pattern that I know I have is that the moment I'm not up doing a bunch of stuff and feeling enthusiastic about it, and just sort of chilling and feeling lazy, I have this panic like, oh my gosh, what if I'm never motivated to do anything again? What if I'm lazy and good for nothing for the rest of my life? What if this is a permanent condition? And I have to talk myself down off of that, or get somebody else to talk me down off of it too.
Yeah. Got you.
Yeah. I've kind of been in that space. I don't want to. There's a lot of things I could be doing. We could say should, but I don't want to. I don't have the energy. I don't have the inspiration or the motivation. So I'm doing one thing at a time as I'm motivated to do.
There it is. Excellent.
Well, that's me this week.
Great. Well, I guess I'll just go next. And I'm Reverend Dr. Pjae Stanley, and I am the senior minister of Harmony Spiritual Center in Fort Worth. It was a good week. There's always more on your list of things to do than you're ever going to get done, but I feel pretty good about it. Started a new class, Master Your Life, at the local community college for women. It was for women. It was really lovely. I'll talk more about that in a little bit, but just a good week. I feel rested. I didn't crowd too many things in, and the good thing about that is the weather here just doesn't allow. That's why we're in separate places right now. So the weather kind of made you chill out a little more than you might have done had it been a better weather. But yeah, it's a good week. And continuing on with that self-care we talked about last week. So yeah, taking care of myself and allowing myself to be who I am and what I want to do, and not shit on myself, and just be okay with it. So yeah, good. Yeah, so so I'm all checked in.
I am Kim Andrews, a spiritual leader at Unity Saxe in Saxe, Texas. And I'm somewhere between Pjae and Melinda this week. So there is a lot going on. I am reflecting a lot because I'm needing to probably deepen my self-care in some areas. And I don't know what that looks like right now. But I am... sometimes I just ask my body and my mind what they need, and I wait for answers. And so those things are starting to unfold. This morning, which is one of the reasons why we're all in our separate spaces today. Today, I just realized when I start feeling backed up into a corner that I have choices.
Yeah.
And that's when I said, gee, I think I need to be in my space and save that driving time, because by the time you get ready and go someplace and drive home, I mean, it could be 2.5 hours by the time we finish talking to each other and all that other stuff. And then, it's nighttime, it's dark.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm very much reflective, and I'm glad I'm in a stage in my life when I start feeling pushed, that I do get quiet and I do start thinking about, or letting it unfold within me, what is next and how do I take care of myself in this, because I'm starting to feel challenged with keeping my peace. So it's been, I think I'm in a time of discovery for the next phase of self-care. There seems to be a next phase from time to time, and what was working last week is not working this week. So that's where I am.
Exactly. And I love what you just said, because, part of the self-care is, just allowing yourself to just be and just let it be what it is, as opposed to, like you just said, Melinda, just I'm not going to be, all the shoulds and could'ves and all those sort of things, and all that feeling bad about the list of things that we want to do is already much larger than we could ever possibly get done. So it's ridiculous for us to even think that we could. So just part of the practices of self-care is recognizing that and being okay with, hey, I did what I could do today, and it was good enough, and it was good enough. That's part of it. So I'm glad. I think that's what it sounds like we all did this week. Just say, hey, what got done, and what didn't, well, we'll either fall off the list or get done later. Either way, it'll be all right. Either way. Yeah.
I always like to share my grandmother, who was wise in some ways, would always say when we would try to help her with the dishes after dinner, she would say, no. And we were like, you shouldn't do them. She's like, no, we're here to visit. I can do the dishes tomorrow. And if the world ends tomorrow, I don't want to spend my last days doing dishes. Do you?
Woo! I like it.
So
I like it.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, we wanted to help. Of course you're supposed to help. She's like, no, I'm not going to do it today. And neither are you. This is our time to visit.
Right.
We'll let it handle itself tomorrow. And I think I reflect on that often, that what is it that I'm so busy getting done? If there is no tomorrow, is this the way I would want to spend my time? Exactly. Really?
That is a good litmus test.
Never plan for tomorrow or get ready, but it does mean, think about it a little bit.
Yeah.
Think about it a little bit.
Yeah. It's a good litmus test for living your life fully and completely in the moment. What is important right now? I mean, what is going to, if the world comes to an end, well, I wanted to, you said, have passed away with dishes in my hand, or talking and having my arms wrapped around the people that I love. You know? So that's what we get to do.
Yeah, I remind myself from time to time that what I'm supposed to be doing at any particular moment might be me. I need to be taking care of me.
Yeah.
I am the project of the moment, and everything else on the list needs to stop, but I need to stay high on the priority list. And not only is it okay to let go of the other stuff to do, but it's probably necessary, and that I am my focus now, whether that means sitting in the tub of hot water with the lights off and candles burning and music playing, or if that means repotting plants or whatever, listening to music, watching one of my favorite movies over again for the 100th and 15th time, whatever that is, sometimes I am the project of the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just wrote that down. It might be me.
Might be me.
That might be what I need to take care of. It might be me. I love that.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I already know it might be me. Like when I look around and go, crap is going down, somebody's doing something wrong. It might be me. This is
what is the common denominator here? Yeah.
This is the common denominator, right? But then there's other ways that, maybe what's wrong isn't something I need to fix out there. Maybe I need to turn within. Maybe I need to turn within and take care of this. Yeah. I have noticed that most of the times in my life when I'm feeling just covered up by what needs to get done, that other people are expecting of me, that I've promised other people, or that I feel like I owe, it's 99% of the time not anyone else saying, Melinda, you need to get this done right now. It's me.
Yeah.
It's me. It's me doing it to myself.
Exactly. And this is a really good segue to talk about what we talked about last week, because we're talking about commitment versus self-care. And so last week we were kind of talking about commitment, and part of the conversation in our own heads is about where does the commitment and the self-care, how do we balance and juggle that, and what is letting go of a commitment, or just being committed to you and saying, I need to commit to my own self-care. So I think that now that's part of the conversation today, is about what does self-care look like, and still be the person that you want to be, a woman of substance and of purpose, and a woman of your word, to say that I committed to something and I want to get that done. And I think the thing is that we commit to a lot of long-term things, like relationships, and you know what I mean, and keeping the house clean. All those things are long-term, so they have to be. We have to look at those and say, in all of those commitments of those large things, where do I fit? When do I commit to the time for me without feeling like I'm dropping the ball and not being a person of my word? So what does that look like for us? What does it look like for all of us? I think we need to look at that. And that's a serious piece of it.
Yeah. It's kind of like what Kim did today, is recognize
Yes.
I want to do this show. I've committed to do this show. There's no way I'm not doing this show.
Gotta do it.
Let's do it without everybody driving someplace to do it. And honestly, Kim asked for what she needed, and PG and I both went, okay. Okay. I don't have to vacuum that room. Yay.
That's going to work out. I only have to get dressed from the top up. That's going to work out.
Who's wearing sweats on the bottom?
So,
awesome.
That's right. Footy pajamas on the bottom, nice blouse up top. Sometimes that's what self-care looks like, right?
Exactly what it looks like. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I did a talk a couple of years ago called "Self-Care is More Than a Bubble Bath," and it was sort of the beginning of a conversation I started having with myself and with other people about the fact that for a long time I thought self-care meant, after you've worn yourself out, give yourself a treat.
Wow.
Yeah. When you're completely nothing but a rag, then get in the bathtub and light a candle, or make yourself a cup of tea, or schedule a massage, use some lotion, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Really basic little bitty stuff that I often did not allow myself to do until I was completely a rag doll.
Right.
Yeah.
Recognizing that self-care is so much bigger than that. It might include a bubble bath, but it has to do with starting, each day, what is mine to do today, and what is reasonable for me to do today, and what can I do today? Checking in with self in all ways. And sometimes that means saying no to things that come up, or saying, if I have to give you an answer right now, my answer will be no.
Right.
It's possible I'll have time, and I can let you know later. But if you need an answer right now, I have to say no.
Right.
Yeah. And that's been a really hard thing for me to do, because I suffer from afraid of missing out. I'm a FOMO girl. What if I say no, and it's the best thing that ever happened in the whole universe, and I wasn't there for it?
Yeah, exactly. And you said something, I think it was you that said something about, as you're going about your day and getting the things done, the lists and stuff like that, the expectations of others. That is a huge driver. And the thing is that why are the expectations of others driving us? I really want to have the expectations of Pjae driving Pjae, because then it's my life, and I understand the expectations of things that I've said to someone that I will do. And so they're expected to see me. I get those expectations, but sometimes we put on other expectations, and I've been doing this for a little while now, looking at who am I, and what are these expectations and things that I'm doing in terms of what a woman looks like, what being married looks like, what being a minister looks like. Are these my expectations of what I think that should look like in my life? Or are these expectations of others, people outside of me, parents or the community or whatever, who say, well, you should really, I think I shared with this with you guys. I'm not a very good pastoral person. As far as being a pastoral minister, I am a person who I like talking on Sunday mornings. I like talking in groups. I like facilitating things. I like all of that. But just sitting quietly. You did this. You talked about this, Kim, with a couple of friends of yours, just sitting by the bedside for a long time. And that is not something I do well. I will do it, and I can do it, but it doesn't draw me or pull me in. And so for the longest time, I just thought, well, you just suck as a minister if you don't do that. But that's not true. Yeah, that's not true. Everybody has what they do really well and what they just do as part of their ministry because you want to. And it's not the thing that brings you full joy, but it's a part of what I believe is my role. But it's not the one that brings me all the full joy. It is just part of that, and I will live to that. But I'm not going to. I have people saying, you should have been over there. You should have been doing that, and I absolutely will not respond to that. I won't do it. So that's part of what we get to do as well. All of the shoulds and what are somebody else's expectations? What are yours? What are yours? And I do want to say to those who are listening, feel free to put some comments in the chat, and we can respond to your thoughts or whatever as well. So we look forward to seeing some comments. I know you guys have said hi and thank you. It's really great to see you here. But also, if you have some thoughts about what we're saying, or you want to add to the discussion, because that's what this is, please do so in the chat. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So just expectations, my own, are big enough as it is without adding other people's expectations, right?
Well, and part of my point was that I imagine other people's expectations. I take my voice of being hard on myself and I put it on somebody else's face. Well,
Yes.
they want me to do that. They're going to judge me if I don't do that. He's going to think this if I don't do that. I remember when I was younger, like if I ever took a half a day off, I was teaching school, came home from school and just sat instead of making dinner. When my husband walked in the door, I would jump up to try to look busy. That man always knew how hard I worked. He never one day in our 30 plus years now, has he ever said, gosh, aren't you going to do anything today? That was totally me. That was completely me. So I use what I think or what I make up, the story that I make up that other people expect in order to torture myself. Yay. I don't have to just torture myself by myself. I can include all y'all and make it a group activity that I'm completely in charge of.
Right. I think it might be time for a little bit of a break here.
Sure is.
Thank you, Pat. You are right. She said you are the unique expression in the mind of God. Be you out loud. Yay.
We got the loud part down. We're going to take a break here and we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Hey, everybody, and welcome back. I'd like to give a shout out to those beautiful people who are on. Pat Moore, there, I see you there. And Allie Benjamin, thank you so much. Susan Sims, wonderful. Thank you for being here today. Everybody, thank you so much.
Yeah, hi. I was thinking about, I have quite a morning routine that I use that is part of my self-care, because I think, adding in, it's almost like putting deposits in the bank on a regular basis, so that, because I'm trying not to get to depletion, because that was my thing, Melinda, where I would wear myself out. Then I think, oh, time for self-care. And then I realized I really don't enjoy, or I'm not able to embrace the self-care as much as I could have if I were not depleted.
Yeah.
So I started giving myself a hard time and calling myself high maintenance, because I probably have, if I do everything I plan in my self-care routine in the morning, then it's probably about 2.5 hours or so. And then I started listening to some of the, these really famous folks that are either on TV or they write books and things like that, movie stars, people who are high-powered talent. And a lot of them have 2 to 3 hour routines in the morning. And most of them were saying, this is what it takes for me to be at my best. And if that's what it takes, this is what I have to do. And I have to be able to feed myself on a regular basis. And this is how I get fed. And if these 6 or 7 things in the morning work for me, I'm doing them. And it is part of my work. And I thought, what a unique way to think of that this is part of my work. This is how I show up fully, like Pjae said, as the woman I want to be, as the professional, as the minister that I am, the one who does pastoral care, does admin, all the hundreds of hats that we wear throughout a week.
Yeah.
Those hats are going to fall over, and I'm going to fall over if I'm not doing something every single day to feed my mind, body, soul, and spirit.
Exactly.
And so then I dropped the guilt about my 3 hour routine in the morning. And the fact that if I didn't have time to do it all, I started to feel a little cheated sometimes. So I've changed how I do things. I don't set appointments early in the morning if I can make that happen. If it's not necessary. So it's what my mind, body, spirit, and heart require. So, here I am. This is what I'm doing.
Yep. Giving yourself some grace, and saying, this is it. This is me. This is, why is it that I need to give everybody else my time, but I can't give myself time? What's that about? And we know what it's about. It's just about our history of what we think women are supposed to be doing, or, what it looks like to be committed, or all these nonsensical things that we have in our heads. And we're going to let go of that. We're just letting go of that and say, it's a new day. It's a new day. And I want to own myself completely. And that's all of me. That is all of me. And the me that needs to be cared for, and the me that's a leader, the me that's a mother, the me that's all the me's I'm going to take care of. And that's what we've given ourselves permission to do. So I love this. I love this new way of and it's actually, I guess it's not new. It's new to me though. New for me.
New to our
and exactly. And I'm embracing it. I'm absolutely embracing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Sometimes I talk about this with my prayer partner, Michael. We talk about that sometimes I'm teaching something, I'm speaking about something from my mastery. Like, here's what I've learned. Here's what works for me. I'm going to share it with you. And sometimes I'm teaching and I'm speaking from right at the edge of my growing edge. I am not there, but I feel like I might see it from here if I squint, enough. And, with the self-care, there are some ways that I feel like I have a little bit of mastery, but mostly, even at this age, I feel like I'm just, this is still my growing edge. And I think it was because I was taught so deeply this is one of the things I often share. I grew up in a very fundamentalist church, and I believed it. And that's the way I was taught, is that women don't speak, but they do everything else.
Or take credit.
Yeah. And that we, you have to, I knew I also was the generation where we assumed we were going to work, but no one had given us permission to not be the super mom, doing all of the things for all of the kids and having dinner ready and all of that. And that wasn't even an expectation of my husband as much it was an expectation that I carried from my childhood and my culture into my marriage. And that it's very hard it's almost impossible to let go of it if you don't name it. You have to see it clearly. And then say, you were talking about letting go, letting go, letting go. For me, it's letting go of those old things and immediately replacing them with something new.
Yeah.
Because when we let go of an old pattern, but we don't do something proactive to replace it, it's really easy to slink back into the old pattern, especially when we're tired, right? Which is most
fall back on what we know.
But to replace it with something from now on, when I feel this, when I think this, I'm going to try doing this instead, whatever that is, just making a decision about that.
Yeah.
And I collect ways that people take care of themselves. I write them down.
Oh, a self-care journal. I like that.
What did you say?
I said self-care journal.
A self-care journal. Yeah.
I like that.
Well, it's just like, just people who give me little hints, like Karen Drucker, lovely, lovely, lovely woman. And years ago, we were talking about this very thing because we were both just exhausted. And we talked about how we put on retreats and we teach self-care. And here we are, just worn out like rag dolls. And she said, one of her practices when she's in her right mind, in that place where she is taking care of herself, is to get up in the morning and literally put her hand physically over her heart and just spend a few minutes saying, what do you need?
Oh,
just listening. What do you need? Tell me what you need. And then taking the time to listen and see what comes up. And then here's the hard part. Well, there's the remembering to do that. And then there's the trusting that when you here's what you need to do, trusting that maybe that's exactly right. Yeah. And I especially am suspect of when the voice says, honey, how about you just do nothing?
What about that?
Take a minute and do nothing.
Yeah.
Because there's this part of me that says, well, that can't be right.
but
I'm going to do nothing while, and that way, if I do nothing today, then I can get the laundry done and I can get all those phone calls made and maybe I can get to the grocery store.
Oh my God.
Doing nothing.
It's yeah. So my day, I can so relate to that because my day off is Monday. Okay, so I know you two can relate to it because we've talked about this. My day off is Monday, which is then the day that I do things that I haven't actually scheduled, but I've been wanting to get to, like talk to a friend of mine about her issues with her children, coaching someone, and cleaning up the house. And there's never my day off. So if I just sit in front of the television and watch Yellowstone for one or two sessions, I'm feeling so good to have to jump up and go do something that I feel is more productive, as if just sitting there and just getting your whole self back, just giving over to peace and calm and whatever makes you happy isn't productive. And even if it is productive, so what? Why does it have to be productive? Why can't it just be because it's peaceful for me, because I'm relaxed and I don't have to think about anything else. I could just look at this, laugh, have a good time without any kind of other energy going on, but that me and the dog just sitting there watching TV. Why is that such a big deal? And so, it's becoming less and less of a big deal, but it is, and I still struggle with it. And there was a comment in the chat from Pat Moore, and she's saying, about her daughters and granddaughters that are just taking charge of their own self-care. They're not living like we did. And I love that. I love learning from my granddaughter, who's just flying all over the world and just doing and if her man of the time just can't deal with it, well then bye-bye. And she's off to do what she needs to do. And I just love that. So you guys know that I do. Yeah.
That means we're doing a good job with our daughters.
I like that. That's a good one. Yeah.
Because there is a certain element of, yes, I talk to my daughter almost daily, and I know that to a certain extent she does what I do instead of what I say, but that she also heard a lot of what I said. And a lot of the hangups that I grew up with, I was very conscious about wanting to not put those on her. And to a large degree, I found that I was successful, that she doesn't carry around the same baggage that I carry around. And when I say our daughters, I'm not just talking about our physical
Yes.
people we gave birth to, but the women of the next generation that we spend time with, that look to us for mentorship, our nieces, our neighbors, our friends' children, all of the people in our spiritual communities, all of that.
Exactly.
We have the opportunity to teach them differently from how we learned, but also this really golden opportunity to model something different, and then to let them model and go do it. Like, I want to be you.
Exactly. I want to be you now. As I'm growing up and older, I'm turning into my granddaughter. I love it. I love it. Yeah. So.
I like that. My mother, I know that one of her biggest self-care tools was spending time with her girlfriends. And she would disappear for hours. It used to drive my dad nuts because she would say, I'm going over so-and-so's house, and come back 6, 7, 8 hours later, depending on how long they needed to talk and be with each other. And often, so my mother had one girlfriend. She also had 2 daughters like my mom. And the 6 of us would go to a diner in town. And of course, they're open 24 hours. So we would show up at lunch, and we would all have lunch, and us girls would be sitting at one table. The 2 moms were sitting at another table, because then they could have their private talk, their adult woman talk, and us girls could do what we do. And usually we would either bring books or something else to do to kind of occupy ourselves if we got tired of talking. Because, as a young girl, you can talk for a while, but not like we adult women can. And sometimes we would have lunch, and then dinner, and then dessert, and we would go home late at night, because my mom needed that 6, 7, 8 hours, however long it was, to be with her friends. And I remember that vividly, mainly because I was with her at the other table. But
yeah.
And I have a tendency to do that too, as the 3 of us do with each other.
Absolutely. You've talked many times about how, you tell Quentin, hey, I'm going to see the girls. And he goes, okay, well, I'll see you tomorrow. He doesn't have any expectation when you're going to show up.
He says it all the time.
Yes.
Bob will say, when are you going to be home? I say, it's Kim and Pjae. And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Hands off. Gotcha.
We're done when we're done.
Okay. Yeah. And sometimes we can't get done in a day, which is why we take 2, 3, 4 days to go out to the river. I mean, it takes what it takes.
Yeah.
It takes what it takes. So I really do like that about that part of where I've come to in giving myself that time to whatever it takes. It takes that, and I'm not going to feel guilty about that. The thing I wanted to add about self-care for me, part of it is taking the time to actually discover and be honest about who I am now. You know what I mean? Because I've lived, and I think many of us do, we live a life that has a lot of information in there and beliefs and values that aren't necessarily ours. It's what we grew up with. It's what our parents said. It's what the community said. And so all of these expectations for me of what I thought a wife was, or what I think a mother is supposed to be, are just not what I thought, not what I really wanted to do. The only thing I knew for sure was I was going to love my children. That I was going to, but it was a natural thing of giving birth. Was just the love was so great. I never expected that. I never knew that's what was going to happen. But it was just incredibly great, that love, and you give anything for them. And then trying to separate that from saying, well, yes, I will give them all, but I also need to, while being a mom, give myself some time so that I can give them good time. I'm not giving them just the leftovers, so the dregs, because I'm so tired I can't do anything. And so giving myself the time it needs to discover who I am, what I actually believe about myself, and to revisit what I thought was true about me and be okay with, you know what? Maybe it was. It isn't now, though. And I don't need to feel guilty about that. That was great. It worked great then. I am someone, we're always talking about evolving. And yet when we evolve, I certainly, when I'm evolving to something else, I want to fight and keep going backwards. Like, no, because somehow if I evolve it makes what I was doing false. No, it's what I was doing because of what I knew and what I knew emotionally and what I was capable of taking on and all of that. But now I know something more. I know something greater for myself. And I'm not going to. So part of the self-care for me is to not feel guilty about the fact that I know something greater. And what I did before was great for that time, for then. What I'm doing now is also that. And it's the evolution of my life and my knowing and all of that. So I think that's a really important part of self-care, to know that.
Yeah. And, Maya Angelou said, if we'd known better, we would have done better. When we do know better, we will do better.
Exactly.
And it doesn't mean there's no indictment of what went on in the past. And I think even the word better is maybe, just doing it differently. I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to do it differently. It doesn't mean I was doing it wrong before.
Right.
I'm doing it differently now because that's where I am right now. I want to do it differently.
Exactly. So it's just my glasses are fogging up. I can hardly see you guys.
So I wanted to introduce in here this idea that as well, mom is one of those jobs where you don't get any, there's no actual, you're off duty. No. And minister is a job where you're not ever completely off duty. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that happened with me a couple of years ago is I really was pushing myself to the edge, on a daily basis. And I had told myself, if I can get through these next 2 weeks, then I'm taking these 4 days and I'm going to drive down. I'm going to sit under a tree and look at the river go by and not do another thing and just take care of myself. Yeah. And so I kept pushing myself to the very, very edge, trying to be everything for everybody. And then on the day that I had actually left, I was in the car on my way to the place where I was going to relax and do some self-care. And I got a call that one of my congregants had passed away and her family needed me there. And, I needed to plan a memorial. And I remember just crying and thinking, the last time I felt like that was when my daughter was an infant. And I remember telling my mom, what do you do when you've already given it all away and you have nothing left, but they still want something? And my mom said, well, that's the nature of being a mom. You think you're empty, but you're not really empty. And you keep giving. Yeah. And that was appropriate for me to do. Even though I did feel empty, it was time for me to give. But it was also very instructive that me planning for self-care later, putting it on my calendar, doesn't guarantee that I'm going to have it. And so one of the things I've started to learn is like, okay, I'm getting kind of tired. So next Thursday, I'm going to get a massage. No, that's what I used to do. I'm getting kind of tired. Maybe I need to sit down and rest right now.
Yes.
Maybe I need a nap. Maybe I need to cancel my next appointment. Mm-hmm. Maybe I need to call and say, hey, can we do that class on Zoom instead of me driving to, wherever. Those kinds of things where I used to put it off to realize if I'm tired now, I need to take care of it now. There's no guarantee that later I will have more time than I have now.
Right. Yeah.
And correct. So care has to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have been there several times until I realized, I need to stop putting it off because I keep thinking next Thursday is clear and it may not be. I may get Thursday morning and you get that phone call and it is hard to flip that switch and be on for people when you know you're at ground zero.
Yeah.
And we can do it.
Yes.
But I would rather not.
Yes. But why put ourselves in the position
to
have
put ourselves there? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's this idea of not what is my capacity, but what is reasonable for me to reach. Mm-hmm. I don't have to work to capacity because then if something happens that's unscheduled, then I'm beyond capacity. Yes. So making that decision like, okay, what is reasonable for me? And it's still, when I look at the calendar, I swear, if somebody asked me to do something 6 months from now, 6 months from now, of course.
Plenty of time.
6 months later, I'm going, oh my God. it out. How am I going to possibly fit this in? So I'm learning to really stop and think, okay, 6 months from now, I'm going to have pretty much the same schedule I have now. And what else is going to be happening? And will I have gone somewhere, the week before, the month before, or do I have somewhere I have to go the week after or the month after?
Yes.
Really looking at a 3-month period to go, is this reasonable for me to do?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you demonstrated that, Melinda. Just I think we talked about this last week when you're talking about the trip that you're going to be. And is it Ireland or Scotland? Because I keep telling everybody, but it is Scotland because I keep changing the country. But anyway, you're going to be taking that tour, and you've already made plans. You said, I don't know what's going to happen during the time next year when it's supposed to happen. So I have a backup plan, someone that I can trust. That can do this. And so, yes, you've demonstrated this idea that, 6 months from now or a year from now, this all looks good. But if it doesn't, what am I going to do so I can still feel good about myself, the commitment I made, and then the other people who are committing to going. And you don't want to let them down as well. So then we feel bad about that. So, so part of that, the whole self-care, deciding what you can do, seeing what it's going to look like, is also having some backup plans. I love the idea of not stacking up your schedule to capacity. We tend to, there's a free minute. And I think, Tim, you talked the other day, I haven't even looked at it. You talked about that app called Structure. I haven't even looked at it because I'm not sure I want anything popping up telling me, oh, this is coming up and that's coming up. So I have that's another thing that I have to do is to put that together. So I haven't actually looked at it yet because I don't know what I want to take the time to actually put that together. But having those kinds of things that will say, hey, you stack this up against that. Do you really want to do that? Or do you want to give yourself like a half an hour between those? And oh my gosh, thank you for that. So there's just all kinds of help in terms of when you decide that I want to have my life have some breathing room. That's, again, we're talking about what self-care looks like. And it looks like all of these things, whatever works for you, and sharing with one another about how I'm taking care of myself. Oh, that's a good idea. Let me write that down.
And write that down.
I'm writing that down right now, So, that's I just wanted to come back to that you already are giving this example of what it looks like to schedule yourself out. And then if it doesn't happen, I still feel good about myself and I'm still committed and I haven't let anybody down. So
it's about time for us to make another break.
Is it? Okay.
So we can talk more about that when we come back. Thanks for hanging in with us, y'all. And here we are back again.
I wanted to just say a little something about something that Pat was saying, because we had Robert Brzezinski do a workshop for us on Sunday. And she's mentioning in his chat that he said this part of, I think you're likening, Pat, self-care to this example that he gave, is that when you're on a plane and the stewardess tells you when the mask drops, put it on yourself first, and then you can help somebody else. So I think that whole self-care is the same idea of that oxygen mask. Take care of yourself. You can't. We say this all the time in New Thought. You can't give from from an empty vessel, and yet we constantly emptying our vessels out all the time, thinking we can give. There's nothing down there but the dregs. There's nothing.
Okay, so I want to piggyback on that.
Go ahead, baby.
Yes, you cannot give from an empty vessel, and so the true answer to self-care. This is not me speaking from my mastery, by the way, but the true answer to self-care is to realize that you never have to be a vessel, that we're always a conduit. And if we never unplug, then we'll never be empty. And I think when I tend
Nice.
to get my vessel empty is when I think, okay, I got it from here. And in some way, unconsciously, I unplug from source, even though I still have it in my mind. And I think, yeah, of course, I'm living a spiritual life. Of course I am. But I'll take off. I'll think I got it now and I'll take off and not realize that I have taken off so fast that I yanked the cord out,
Yes.
from my source, or I'm just not remembering it. I get so busy looking ahead that I forget. If I'm not attached, if I'm not plugged in, then I'm not getting the fuel and the energy that I need. And I think of Edwene Gaines used to do in one of her talks. She talked about, you get a hair dryer and you can put it on high. You can hold it up high. You can hold it up low. You can do this way and do this way. But if it's not plugged in, it's not going to do you a dang bit of good. You have to plug it in. You have to plug it in. And so that's something that's really important to remember. And I think that's part of my morning routine. I know that's part of Kim's morning routine, is not just the physical care we take care of ourselves, but this idea of what do I need to do today to help me plug into source and stay plugged in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, start the day in the silence and meditation, just taking it all in, taking ourselves in, like Pjae was saying, who am I in this moment, and affirming my divinity and starting my day in that mode with that mindset. And it usually chills things out. And I'm like you, Melinda, I only get in trouble when I get moving too fast and I forget and I go for a couple of hours and I'm not being mindful. I'm probably engaged in the minute, but thinking an hour ahead. And then it all starts to fall apart. But it seems like more and more these days, I'm able to pull myself back more quickly and say, I'm headed down there. I can either feel my pulse is running a lot faster. I feel like I'm dropping things. I'm getting clumsy. Things aren't going right. I'm not sitting down and being mindful and doing one thing at a time. I'm trying to multitask. And that's when I start getting into trouble. Yeah. And I realize that I'm now feeling unplugged from source.
Yeah.
And then I go back and I have to remind myself. And now these days, and this is part of the challenge from the class I'm taking with James Mellon, is to affirm my divinity in that moment. Take a breath and just be still and know that I am God. And take a couple of breaths.
Yeah.
And then start to move again.
Yeah.
So more often than not, I pull myself back now, and I never used to do that. I would wait till I drove it in the ditch, and I'm in the ditch, and I'm laying face down, gurgling water up and sputtering, things like that. Isn't that graphic?
I love it.
Isn't that graphic?
Your jeans just soaked with that dish water. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You fall off the wagon, you're laying underneath it, the wheels are on your head. It's just there. That's right. And now, most of the time, I can see that line where crazy begins, and I'm way back.
Yeah.
I'm way back. And I can say, okay, I know I don't want to go there. So what do I have to do not to get there? What do I have to do? And usually that is keep filling my bank every day. Fill my bank, fill my internal bank every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I love it. I love the fact that the three of us, this is spirit talking. I mean, I shared this story with everybody, and I'm not going to go into a long thing about it. But one of the things that I said to Spirit, and I call Spirit George, and George and I talk all the time. I said, if I'm going to be a minister, I'm going to need some help, and you got to bring me some people that are going to help me, because I don't know what I'm doing. And then you two ladies just showed up, and it's amazing to me how in Dallas-Fort Worth, in the same time, the same year, the same area, 3 women became New Thought ministers at the same time and became great friends. This is what I wrote, because I love that fact that you guys are bringing it, and I know that Spirit is always here with us. Because what I wrote down before you started talking was self-care equals a faith walk. It's a faith walk. Every morning I have to remind myself. It's just, and that's what I do for everybody. It's I'm not. I don't know anything more than you do. What I'm reminding you of, and what I'm reminding myself of every day is who we are. We're who we are, and what is available. What is available. And so when I get, like you say, I'm starting to run off the road. I was on the road the other day, and the road rage thing, really, that's the one that catches me up. I can see God there so quickly, and my own humanity so quickly there. And I was coming back. It was dark, and coming back after a play I had gone to see, and someone was just on the road. I was driving my normal, but somebody was going slow in the particular lane, so I was going to slide over. I didn't want to brake, and I didn't want to run up, so I just slid over to the next lane. Well, someone was coming up really fast and didn't want to slow down either, so decided to just run right up on me and just stay on me rather than slow down or whatever. Just I was going to get over and then get back. But they stayed on me. So, that one, the devil, the thing, whatever, on that one shoulder thing. Really? This is how we're going to do it? Anyway, I'm not going to share all that I did, but I can say that I asked George, I said, George, what are you trying to show me? Because you know how this fires me up. So I'm just going to breathe. I'm going to get over. I'm not going to act like I would normally act and I'm not going to do it. So be with me. I'm breathing. What is this about? That is my favorite question to ask Spirit when something's going on. I'm getting overwhelmed. Someone's firing up, whatever it is. What is this about? Because it's about me. It's not about anything else that's going on, right? Never about anything else that's going on. It's about me. So what is this about? What are you trying to tell me? Do I need to slow down? What do I need to do? And to me, that is what the whole self-care begins with, that relationship that we have with Spirit in us and saying, what's mine to do? What's this about in this moment? What's the highest and best for me and everybody that's involved right now? And that happens like so many times during the day. What's this about? What's mine to do? Yours to do is to shut up. Yours to do is to sit on down. You know what I mean? Whatever the answer becomes, even in the middle of class, even right now as we're talking, and you guys are talking, I'm sitting here just going, what's mine to do? Yeah, you're doing it. Just sit here and listen because it's their turn to talk. Or whatever it is, all the time. That conversation is constant in my head. It is a faith walk for me. For me, that's what self-care is. Otherwise, I'm going to be in the ditch drinking muddy water. Yeah. Choking on muddy water. Yeah.
One of the things that I've learned just in watching my own behavior to tell when I'm carrying it too far, when I'm not completely myself, is if I stop writing, like, because I journal, that's part of what I do. And if I get really resistant, no, don't wanna, then my question is, what am I keeping secret from myself that would really help me to know? Because it is usually me going, there's something I don't want to face. There's something I don't want to look at. There's something that's uncomfortable. And as my friend Penny says, the only way to get that out is pen in hand, ass in chair.
Just love it.
You just sit down and you do it. You don't have to want to do it. You don't have to like to do it, but you sit down and you do it. That works for me. I don't know if journaling works for everybody, but it works for me. The other thing I'll notice is if I'm not singing while I load the dishwasher or singing in the shower or, walking around the house, doing what I do in the car, then that is a real clue to me that I have lost my joy, that I am so focused on something, usually something in the future, something that I feel is looming, that I'm not present to the everyday joy of just living in my body and living with the beauty that's all around me. And music is so important to me and has been since before I could talk. And if I'm not doing that, then that's like a thermometer that says, honey, you're getting fever. You got something you need to take care of.
Yeah.
So those are two things that I know for me are, if I'm paying attention, are real indicators that, okay, something's off, something's not right. You're about to lose your joy. you need to come back to it. So I just thought it'd be interesting to, in the last couple of minutes that we have, to ask you guys, what's your barometer of,
I like that.
I'm not getting okay, I'm getting not okay.
And Susan Sims, you put, what are those in there? Did you guys look at the chat? Those chickens? I don't know. What is
No,
that?
they're smiley faces with hearts. She loves us. We love you too, Susan.
Oh, girl, I'm so far back. This is insane. I'm like, what is happening? Thank you, Susan. I'm sorry. I see. I take my glasses off and look. This is
Self-care means you need to go to the optometrist to get your.
I have an appointment. I have an appointment. I have an appointment coming up. Yeah. So yeah, what is your? Please go ahead and put that in the chat if you have something you want to share with us. What is your go-to tell about when you're not taking care of yourself? Thanks, Susan. Yeah.
What's
I
your
was just thinking about mine. I think for me, the clue is, since I've worked so hard on inner peace, that when I start feeling this dis-ease inside me, I'm either anxious or, I can feel something starting to ratchet up inside me. Now I start to feel an unrest sometimes, and it can just start to ripple. And I think, oh, there I go. And generally music, like you said, Melinda, will take me right back. I now have a classical playlist on Apple Music that I use, and I can just turn that on and be with one of those songs. I have a list of favorites now, and they help me flip the switch really, really quickly. So music works for me, and just getting quiet somewhere. That never used to be me. I always needed something, noise or something to do. And now my go-to is just to sit and be quiet and be still and just let something wash over me. And it might be that I need a few moments of tears. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I need to, whatever it is there, just let it happen. Let it happen. Because in my day, I can get too frantic, and then I am ignoring, like you said, there's something within me happening. What's hiding in there? What's going on?
Yeah.
So I sit and I let that roll, and that usually chills me out.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What about you, Pjae?
Yeah, for me, it's that I feel myself starting to worry about things. I feel the worry start happening. I'm just worried about this, and what if they don't do? What if she and what that says to me is I've lost my connection with who I am. Because one of the things that I do, meditation is I don't roll out of bed without that. Just connecting back with George, and setting my day, and saying that everything that I do is directed, and I'm informed by the God in me. And so when I find myself worrying, and okay, you've lost the connection for some reason. You've lost the truth. So sit down, breathe in, and remember the truth about who you are and what's going on in life. And looking back over my past always helps me. God has always been there. There's always been plenty. You've never been left in a lurch, ever. So so worrying, when I find myself worrying, that's you're disconnected. Get back in there, because that's not true. Worry is not true. Not true for me. Yeah.
Chris Chenoweth used to say that worrying is praying for what you don't want.
Exactly. It's a negative prayer.
Mental energy, picturing something that you don't want to happen. So.
Because the spirit doesn't look at negatives. It's just you're praying for whatever it is. If you're praying for something, you're praying, and that's coming. So stop that. That's my advice.
Stop it right now.
Right now. Cut that out. Cut. Yeah. So, self-care. It's just, it's so important for us to know, and to honor it in others. When someone is like, I can't do it, no problem. I just had someone, a wonderful young lady and I were going to do a little skit together for the senior bash, for the senior program that we're in at the end of the semester. And she wrote, she said, Pjae, I'm just so full. I just realized I filled my boat up with this, that, and other. She says, do you mind if we let that? Not at all. That skit's not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. Neither are you. We're just fine. We'll put it someplace else. And so the fact that she was able to say it, and we were able to work together, and it absolutely made no difference to me, whether we do it now or 10 years from now. that skit's going nowhere. It's written in stone. It's written. So that's it. So yeah, to give each other grace, I think it's also part of that.
Honoring each other.
Yes.
And yeah, that's huge. That's
Yeah,
huge. If
it
you
is.
find yourself trying to convince somebody to say yes when they've said no, then you're out of your
Yeah,
you have stepped out of
integrity.
your hula hoop into someone else's world.
I like that. Stepped out the hula hoop.
When
I like
someone
it.
is trying to convince you to say yes when you've said no, you can understand, oh, that is all about what's happening with them. Has
Yes.
nothing to do with the
So our
appropriateness of
time is up today, and we're going to say thank you guys so much. Thank you for everyone for being here.
everybody.
We'll see you next Tuesday, same time, same bat channel. Bye.
Love you. Bye-bye. So I was wondering, Zoe, that went well.
Yep.
I was wondering if there's a way that the three of us, if we're doing it separately like this, when we're in commercial break, can we still see each other and talk to each other, or is that not possible
But from backstage.
from backstage?
It's a good question. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I'll have to find out.
Okay. Because I know the times we've done it here, we've kind of gone, okay, where are we going next? And, just having that minute it worked fine today. I think
I think it did.
Yeah, in fact, I got caught trying to finish up my text saying, the only drawback to this is that we can't talk in between.
Yeah.
And and I was in the midst of texting that we were back on. I was like, oh, hi.
Hey, everybody.
And we're back.
How you doing?
But at least we know this works with three of
Yeah,
us
it does.
being in
Exactly.
separate
It did.
places.
It did.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do going forward is I'll make sure that probably every Monday, I will send each of you the link so that there's no question whatsoever.
I used the link that you
Like it's the same link, but
it
somehow
feels like it's the same link, but somehow it didn't work out.
It's me.
Yeah. And when you sent me one, Melinda, it said, you get on from Safari, which I don't use Safari. So I'm like, why do I have to get on Safari? But that's what it said. That's why I didn't use it. Because I'm not getting on Safari. I'm not on Safari. And I don't know.
I just copied the one that Zoe sent to me when I told him
exactly the same one.
no one else is here. He said, well, try this link. So I just got